I'm Cody Metter. I love Progress Texas because it is evidence of the progressive movement being alive and well in the great state of Texas. They give a voice to progressive perspectives, highlight, show the truth that we need to be highlighting in the media, and make sure that media is fair and honest.
It's Monday, May 18th, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Progress Texas amplifies progressive values, leaders, and actions. Through our no paywall podcasts and digital media, we reach millions of Texans monthly, and that's made possible by folks like you who invest in independent progressive media by Texans for Texans. Thanks to John Scott, Elizabeth McNair, and William Billieu for your ongoing sustaining support. It is always super fun to start the week with the first day of early voting in a Texas election. By the time you hear this, polls will be open across the Lone Star State in the 2026 midterm primary runoff. I'll be heading over to my usual location once I'm done this morning. Progress Texas has made a bunch of endorsements in the Democratic runoff, including Austin State Rep Vicki Goodwin for Lieutenant Governor, congressional candidates and current U.S. House Reps Christian Menefee in Houston's CD18 and Julie Johnson in Dallas' CD33, and Kevin Burge, who's running in North DFW CD24. At the state level, we've endorsed Dallas House Rep Benton Jones and for Harris County Judge candidate Letitia Plummer, who got a nice write-up we saw in the Houston Press over this weekend. Details at progresstexas.org. All registered voters are eligible to vote in the runoff, and you can vote at any location in the county in which you're registered. If you voted in the initial primary in March, you are limited to voting in the runoff of the same party you chose then. While a record-breaking roughly 4.5 million Texans did vote in March, 18.7 million did not, and all of them are allowed to vote either ballot in the runoff. There's lots of debate about the value and wisdom of cross-party primary voting, but it's hard to argue that the John Cornyn-Ken Paxton race for the Republican nomination for Senate isn't the highest profile and most consequential item on the board this week. That's the race being watched most closely by the entire state. The sad state of turnout expectations in Texas are in stark evidence when we celebrate a 24% March primary turnout, and turnout in the runoff is almost certain to be a lot lighter, which means the weight of your individual vote is a lot heavier. We'll see y'all at the polls. A couple of items on Governor Greg Abbott coming out of the weekend. First, a dismal failure at the all-Republican Texas Supreme Court in a legal move that was really just about the drama and was never going to work. Eleanor Klibanoff and Kayla Guo at the Texas Tribune say the Texas Supreme Court rejected Governor Abbott's novel legal maneuver we told you about last week to remove Houston State Rep and Minority Leader Gene Wu and other Democratic lawmakers from office by asserting to the court that they had abandoned their seats in the Texas House and executing last summer's quorum break. Writing for the all-Republican majority, Chief Justice Jimmy Blacklock took the governor back to freshman year government class, gently explaining this concept known as the separation of powers, which includes the basic notion that the judiciary should not be intervening in petty political disputes in other government branches. We're no big fans of this court, as you know, but it is nice to see overextending executive hands get slapped back, though we should note that the Texas Supreme Court did leave open the possibility of overextending their own authority should future quorum breaks go down. Blacklock wrote in the ruling, quote, "Whatever wrong may have been committed by the absent House members, the Texas Constitution's internal political remedies, none of which involved the judicial branch, were sufficient to the task of restoring the House's ability to do business. Should those remedies unexpectedly prove inadequate in a future case, we might have occasion to consider whether any judicial remedy could ever be available in circumstances such as these," unquote. Also on Governor Abbott, his re-election team is apparently worried enough about Democratic challenger Gina Hinojosa to be prepping for a dirty and desperate general election effort. Michael Carlos at the San Antonio Current says Abbott chief political strategist and officially certified dirty old man Dave Carney outed himself as such on Twitter last week by urging a Twitter user to produce decades-old Polaroid photographs allegedly showing Rep. Hinojosa and her then teenage friends at high school swim parties in the Valley during the 1990s. Despite having built an unprecedented war chest in excess of $100 million, our governor and his team of experienced political cutthroats appear to be feeling a certain sense of urgency here. Carlos cites recent polling showing Abbott trailing Hinojosa by 5 percentage points as a possible reason they might be looking to get their hands on swimsuit photos of teenage girls. Shifting back to Ken Paxton, who appears to hold a small but significant edge on John Cornyn in a wide variety of polls as the early runoff voting begins today. He's managed to drag his particular brand of anti-science into the real world. John Hanna at the Associated Press and Austin Wood at the Dallas Observer both cover Paxton and the Trump DOJ's coordinated legal assault on Texas Children's Hospital in Houston, the nation's largest pediatric hospital and one of the most revered in our state, who have been forced by the threat of a multi-year investigation and potentially ruinous litigation into a $10 million settlement over accusations of having provided inappropriate transgender care. Under this agreement, the hospital is being forced to fire 5 doctors and to establish Texas's first so-called detransition clinic. Advocacy groups like Equality Texas and the Texas House LGBTQ Caucus are blasting this settlement as political blackmail that forces a top-tier medical institution to ignore established science by adopting a program that is built of purely partisan rhetoric. Meanwhile, out of state, we find proof that it doesn't have to be this way and that elections have consequences. While pseudoscience is pervading one of the medical crown jewels of Texas, a Kansas district court judge has blocked a statewide ban on gender-affirming care there. None of this happens without a demonstrative MAGA opportunist sitting in the AG's office, and it just so happens we're voting this very week to make some badly needed changes. Again, the statewide primary runoff elections are here. Early voting is underway now through Friday, May 22nd. Election day is Tuesday, May 26th. See our carefully crafted GoVoteTexas.org for everything you need to know about voting in Texas. We have not one but 2 live events on the calendar right now in both Dallas and the Houston area. First, Progress Texas will be hosting a live podcast in Cypress on Wednesday night this week. Come join us in Northwest Harris County as we do a first 6 months check-in with the Cy-Fair ISD school board members who made national news last year when they beat back the Christian nationalists. Sign up on the Progress Texas events page and join us this Wednesday evening, May 20th, Creekwood Grill in Cypress. The event's free thanks to our sponsors, Sean Finney, the Honorable Leslie Briones, and Otis Evigaro. And we're getting ready for our 16th anniversary celebration in Dallas with drinks, light bites, and a fun review of the highlights of our successes over the last few years. Save that date. It's Tuesday, June 16th. And see the link in our show notes to reserve your spot. Our good friends Howard Cleon, Charles Zeller, Alex Andrade, the Honorable Dick Levine, Nancy Sanders, Doug Jones, the Honorable Bill Peterson, Mark Yagjian, John Adair, Julie Evans, Jenny Laughlin, Texas Blue Media, the Honorable Jeremy Sutka, and Mike Ware are among the supporters of our 16th anniversary shindig. We appreciate all of you very, very much. Our live events are a major way that we keep doing what we do, and by sponsoring and attending, you're helping Progress Texas continue our important work during this crucial election year. Learn how to support and join us live at ProgressTexas.org. And while you're at the website, snag some merch to match your values. The web store is live and ready for you now with our newly released Humans Against Abbott, Y'all Means All, and our very popular Resist shirts, stickers, and buttons. Hit the web store at ProgressTexas.org to support your favorite podcast network today. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Monday, May 18th. 2026 links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. When lies in Texas are well funded by the far right, your support for fact-based reporting is needed and appreciated. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a terrific day and a great week. Happy voting, and we'll see you again here tomorrow morning.